And good afternoon. Welcome to Glendale City Council Workshop Session on March 24th, 2026. Meeting is called to order. We will call a attendance roll call. Please signify by saying present. Councilmember Baldenegro.
Present.
Councilmember Conchas. Councilmember Guzman.
Present.
Councilmember Tomachov.
Here.
Councilmember Turner.
Present.
Vice Mayor.
Present.
And I'm present. Councilmember Conchas. Okay. With that said, Ms. Barr, if you just go ahead and get us going on item number 1.
Downtown Campus Reinvestment Project update.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. On behalf of the DCRP team, this is update number 41. This update is going to primarily go back to talking about how our site activities are progressing, primarily a lot of the hardscape work. We'll spend a little bit of time on some of the interior of the building again, and more so the lower level, and then we'll give you some ideas on how we're doing with the council chambers. So quite a bit of activity. We are getting closer to the end. We're within about a little over a month from substantial completion for the building portion of it, and then the site work and the Murphy Park additions and so forth will be later the following month in the middle of May and so forth. So, but we're keeping on track. We've got a lot of activities going on. I'm sure that when everybody drives by weekly, daily, every day there's something new that's being placed. So it's a good place to be right now, and we're really excited on how things are going. So last month when we first presented, the image that you see in front of you was just the trees and some formwork done for the plaza entrance itself. Now this is a picture about a week ago now, and the plaza concrete's now in place. I should also caveat too that the images that you're seeing today, pretty much the minute I take these photographs, the day later there's something new that's been added to it. So they're just a point in time. So they're about a week old in terms of when they were presented and sent over to the clerk's office. But nevertheless, excited to see how things are forming up. So from a month ago, we now have concrete. We're soon to get rails. And as we move forward to right along Glendale Avenue, the sidewalks that are being formed up now, that's what you're seeing in the foreground, and the reinforcement bars that are placed as well. All this concrete has now been placed for the most part, so we're really getting close to having the final hardscape work done for the entrance of the new City Hall. And in the background, you can see the garage. So trees are going in, plantings are going in, all of the irrigation systems are being tied together. If we move further towards the east along Glendale Avenue, this is where that crosswalk occurs between the downtown merchants and the City Hall complex. This is an access lane that goes all around the edge of the eastern portion of the site. So this ties together Glendale Avenue and Glen Drive together. It also serves both as pedestrian but also our emergency access lane, just in case we have an event that happens, we can bring emergency vehicles onto the pathway there. But this is an example of the pour and the finish work that's going on. The opposite side, same access point, but on Glen Drive, you can see how they start to do the form work. So in this case, you can see all the reinforcing bars that you see there. What they do is they sit them on little blocks or chairs, as we call them, so it allows the reinforcing to be spaced in the dead center of the slab. So the workers that you see there are placing all of the reinforcement in place and getting it ready for the pour. Since this picture's been taken, it was poured the next day, so coming along. The seating bowl, more and more progress each time. We're getting very close to final grade now. So on the right-hand side of the picture, where you see the truck parked, that's pretty much at grade. So next time you have an opportunity to go out and see the amphitheater bowl, it's going to be fantastic seating from that point. Able to see the entire stage very clearly. The formwork that you see in the foreground is for the remaining sections of the seating and pathways that essentially they're switchbacks to take you to the stage and to the seating and then to the lawn area itself. So at the same time we're getting those ready, we are planting material around the perimeters. The stage itself, in our last conversation we had a month ago, we said that we would have the stage poured before the end of March. We're on track for that. It's scheduled to be poured tomorrow. So in the foreground you can see the stage stem wall that you see there on the perimeter. That defines the edge of the stage. And then what would be considered as the dance or mosh pit area, and then the actual hard seating itself in the amphitheater. So we are tracking where we need to be right now with the site. We know that the amphitheater is going to be a little bit further than the building, but as far as turnover time, it's still on schedule for our equipment to be installed when we need it and be ready for opening day, which is going to be, I believe, in later mid-June. Moving into the garden level now. This is the clerk's offices. I think last time it was still pretty in raw form, but now we have ceilings, lights, millworks in place, glazing, carpeting, and the photograph to the right is their combination corridor, print, and kitchenette area, and then offices to the right side of that picture. Also in the lower level now, all the electrical work is well in advance now. We have lighting throughout. Finished work is just really where we are right now. Lower level training room that you see in the foreground. This is the shared space that we'll have for the building. So there's 60+ seating there, and then what you're seeing in the foreground is all the flat screen panels that will be put on the perimeter walls. We're excited to have that. And then if you walk further down the corridor, a couple of nice gems. The picture on the left-hand side is what used to be the old stairwell. So we finished it all out, and you can see at the very top is a skylight, or essentially a monitor, a light monitor, that's bringing natural daylight into that space. So the garden level and the lower level will have natural daylight coming through that space. It's really well done. So it came out, we weren't sure how the lighting would reflect, but it's doing really well, so we're excited about that. And then in the right-hand side, that is the corridor and kitchenette that supports the wellness center on that side of the building. So a lot of progress, and since this photograph was taken, most of the glazing, doors, hardware, all that finished work is ongoing and well in place. And then on level 1, we thought it was important to show you that we're getting very, very close to finishing out the ceiling and the flooring. So the flooring in this shot has been ground down. We're getting ready to pour the finished topping to the floor. The millwork is in place for the one-stop shop. So this is the view from that side of the counter space, which you haven't seen before. So it looks at the entire room. The cross bracing in front will be finished. There'll be some glazed panels that work with that. So it's a combination of glazed panels and painted cross bracing. And then just past that will be seating and tables for all the visitors that need to conduct business with the one-stop shop. Moving into council chambers. So the big move since the last time we spoke is that the ceiling is now done. So we went in and refreshed the entire ceiling. There's new lighting systems, HVAC, and theater lighting that supports the dais. So now we're working on the perimeter walls. We're putting all the acoustical panels in. All the wood ribbing that, and I'll show you a picture of what it looks like in the rehearsal now, but all the wood ribbing that was there before is being put back. It's been refreshed. So that'll be the part of the original concept, was to maintain that. And then what you're seeing in the foreground is a combination of new platform and ramp to support the dais. So now we have an accessible dais for not only for presenters, but also for accessible seating in the gallery itself. So we're excited about that, because this is now we'll be able to get people to the dais really simply now. And then downstairs in the garden level of chambers, there's the rehearsal room. This, if you're familiar with this space, this used to be the B3 conference room, and now it's going to be outfitted with acoustical panels, and it's all carpeted. The ceiling tile has gone in, and so this is right immediately adjacent to this space. There are some dressing rooms, but this is where, you know, imagine a high school concert band or choir or large group could come in here, perform in advance, rehearse in advance before they go on stage. And then the dressing rooms that are side by side this space will have some additional cubicles and storage space, but essentially all the amenities they need to prepare for their performance. So in progress right now, there's just a lot of finished work, a lot of concrete work going on daily. Murphy Park, photos did not make it this time around, but they have actually poured most of the southeast corner has come in now. So we have the beginning of the path and the ring that supports that. The plaques that we saved are getting prepared to be placed. So we're going to do that in quadrants. And then, of course, the irrigation and planting are continuing on that side. But the big push right now is just get the concrete done and the finish work that we need to get to the end of next month. So as next month's approach, we're looking primarily now moving into the technical part of the building. So all of the network assignments, so our T team right now is putting in all the permanent switches, all the pathways, they're mostly there, but they need to connect everything and test it. The same thing with all our audiovisual equipment. The amphitheater finish work is going to continue to go on. The equipment will be placed sometime in May for that, after we receive it. And then Murphy Park Hardscape will continue on till the middle of May. So that's the update for this month, and with that, we'll be happy to take any questions.
I have a question. On page 11, you said that on the flooring, is that front part not getting carpet? You said something about pouring. That one right
Here,
there.
page 11.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, Councilmember Guzman. Yes, so there's a combination of both poured, finished concrete flooring material. It's going to be polished. That goes around the perimeter of the space. In the center, where you see it's all gray right now, and the ductwork that's just hanging, it'll be placed up. There'll be a carpet strip that goes right down the center of that.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be hard finish around the perimeter where the major walking surfaces are, and then in the center where we have furniture and desktop and so forth for meeting with the citizens and so forth, and the one-stop shop, that's all carpet.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. So on the, I have two questions. One on slide 14 of the council chambers, there's that area off to the right. Is that going to be the AV area, or what is that other area off to the right there?
So in this photograph, Mayor and Council, Councilmember Tomalchoff, that is the ramp system that takes you from the perimeter of the gallery space onto the dais itself. So now we have an accessible route to the dais. Before there was just steps only.
ADA compliant.
ADA compliant is what we're doing, so we can get wheelchair access to the dais.
But it looks like it's going to be hidden, though. I mean, unless that's just temporary, where there's basically looks like drywall or walls around it. So,
Mayor and Council, these are pony walls essentially. They will be framed up with drywall and finished out, and so the ramp is in the interior of that. So you would just see essentially the framed walls on either side of the dais. So they're balanced, but the access is behind it. Yes, there is a wall.
okay. And then going forward, at least in one of the presentations, I'm curious myself about how security is going to be laid out and throughout the building, and what the process for all that's going to be. We're getting close to move-in, so I'd like to know, like, if there's people need to check in on level 1, then how that's going to work and how they're going to get throughout the building. So I'm curious about how that's going to work. And then my last question is on the last slide, 18, for the amphitheater, the surface that's in front of the stage area, is that going to be granite, or what is that going to be? That looks like dirt to me.
Mayor and Council, it's actually decomposed granite, so it's the very tight, I want to call it just like large rocks or anything like that, but it's essentially crushed granite. And it's going to be very tightly compacted, so it's going to be, you can sit on it, you can walk on it, you can dance on it, but it's not pure dirt by any means.
Okay, and it's not going to be like a turf or something where if somebody wants to put, a blanket down or something like that,
A blanket can be placed there, but it's just essentially, it's not lawn at all. It's just a compacted, decomposed rock that's just tight.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Still on slide 18, that's the first I'd realized we were doing decomposed granite there. So let me ask about the green, what appears to be grass in that same slide. Is that actual turf or is that artificial turf?
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Turner, it is actual turf.
Okay,
It is the real deal.
all right. I'm willing to certainly start, I guess, give the decomposed granite a try, but I don't see how that'll work, so we may decide that down the road that we'd like artificial turf or something else in there for, so that if kids want to sit down in there, they're not going to get up and be dirty and that sort of thing. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that goes after opening. Key dates for us and the public to look forward to in the future, do you have those?
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Turner, there are a couple of key dates that we're aiming for right now. From move-in standpoint, we're shooting for the middle of May, which I believe is May 18th is the targeted date at this moment. And I believe from a opening ceremony, a ribbon cutting ceremony is looking at the middle of June. I think those specific date and time are still in the works. But those are the two key dates right now. As far as construction go, we've mentioned in the earlier part of this presentation was by the end of April, middle to end of April, we're trying to get our substantial completion for the buildings themselves. And then the site work is going to be tied more with the Murphy Park component, and that is later in the middle of May.
I had a question. Is that the color that it's going to be, the dirt color there in front of the,
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Guzman, I would say it's in the same family of hue. It's the same hue. It's sort of a reddish color, reddish brown color.
because it looks like
Of,
dirt, Just-
It's
like something's missing. It looks like something's missing. Okay.
Were you done?
Yes, sir, I was. I just hadn't relinquished the mic yet, but
Okay.
that's all right.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Going back to that surface, I mean, is there room in the budget to put artificial turf there? Just because, I mean, even appearance-wise, I think it would just look a lot better to have that be green, a green space. And it might be cooler when it's warm also. I thought that was all going to be either concrete or grass, so I did not know we were gonna have granite there.
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Tom Walchoff, we can certainly take a look at it as we use the amphitheater and learn more about it. One reason that it was not looked for or using artificial turf as a material surface is one, it does get hot, and it does have, it can collect bacteria as well because it's not a natural product. We worked really hard to work at the drainage of this entire site, so part of the move that we have here technically is helping with the drainage system altogether. And then we talked about being able to either stand and dance on it quite a bit, so that was the idea that that could wear better if it was just a highly compacted, decomposed granite surface to it.
That
So
makes
that's where we are.
sense. That makes sense, but okay, what about something that, even like the surface that we're gonna be moving towards in parks for the playground areas, something that wears well, that's flat, that doesn't affect people with mobility issues, it's not kind of dirty and dusty that granite can be, but, something where you could even have, it could be green, or it could be, I don't know, the Glendale, it could have some sort of Glendale logo designs or something in it. I'd like to at least, if there's room in the budget to investigate some other surface there other than the granite. I don't know where everybody else is at on it, but I just think, I mean, this is such a big investment and it's such a focal point of what we're doing here. I'm not super excited about the granite. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. To me, it looks unfinished, like there's something missing there. So maybe, if we could look at something else.
I guess I'll jump in. I don't know until I see it. I mean, I might love it, I might hate it, I don't know. I would think right now with the current budget that we have and trying to stay to the timeline, we take it the way it is, and if we all hate it, then maybe plan later on in the year when we have actual time to do it to come up with something different. But what I don't want to do is postpone any opportunity to celebrate America's 250th birthday right now, and I don't know if you're going to have time to do that or not, if we try to change midstream. Okay, moving on.
Council item of special interest, plein air painting competition.
I guess I should say for everybody, item number 2 was pulled from the staff, by staff, not from the staff. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. For this presentation, it will be Chris from our economic development team, not Trent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is regarding a CIOSI over a concern about the judging element of the annual plein air painting competition being held at the Glendale Adult Center Auditorium for years 2025 and 2026. I'd like to bring you up to speed on the specifics that led to that decision being made. Approximately 2 years ago, I was summoned into a meeting with my direct supervisor, the Deputy Director of Economic Development, who gave me a specific instruction, and that instruction was to find an indoor climate-controlled environment for the judging element and the judging element only of the annual plein air painting competition happening in conjunction with Folk and Heritage Festival. The reasons and explanations that were given to me by my supervisor were concerns that council was expressing that specific day 2 years ago over the elements that were making it difficult to judge outdoors, the wind, the heat, and the dust. I just want to be perfectly clear. I do not know whether this was a specific instruction from council to the deputy director, or whether these were just general statements that were being made due to the conditions 2 years ago that were either interpreted or misinterpreted as an instruction. I do not have that answer for you. I only know that I was instructed to find an indoor climate-controlled environment for the judging element. So the following month, I made the decision to move the judging element indoors into the Adult Center Auditorium for years 2025 and 2026, and the reasons were twofold. Number one, the Adult Center Auditorium's close proximity to Socorro. Number two, also 2 years ago, I was working with the Arts Commission to retrofit the eastern wall of the Adult Center to honor our plein air painter winners. If you ever find yourself at the eastern wall of the Adult Center, you'll see a centerpiece that honors our current 4 winners of the annual plein air painting competition. And those winners from years past then are on the outskirts of the wall, so that as any passersby are walking along the wall, you will see not only our current yearly winners, but winners of 5 years prior and prior. And I just want to take a moment to thank all the council members who attended the judging element in both in 2025 and approximately 1 month ago in 2026. Always great to see you there. Thank you. As we move into 2027 and beyond, the Office of Arts and Culture is more than happy to follow any council direction on where you would like the judging element of the plein air painting competition to happen. More than happy to return it outdoors at Socorro Ranch Park. We can have tents with sidewalls standing by in case the elements are too extreme. We can move the artwork and the judging right into the tents to combat those elements. I can also work with special events to see if the fruit packing shed itself is available during that specific time of the judging. Also happy to consider moving the plein air painting competition to Chocolate Affair or the Downtown Glendale Arts and Culture Fest. We are more than happy to follow any staff direction from council on this CIOSI. Thank you.
Whose item was it?
Mine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I don't hope I feel like it's a defensive tone to this, and that's not the intention. The intention is for the council to get an understanding of why it was essentially separated from the events. So it was separated from the Chocolate Affair, put at the Folk and Heritage Festival. The names I was given to the people who objected to it being outside, don't recall any conversation along those lines, and we don't know why it was moved, why this was done. So we want to find out why was it moved, because it's not really part, although it says it's part of the Folk and Heritage Festival, it's not at the whole Folk and Heritage Festival. You have to get in your car and drive to another location to participate in this. So my personal opinion is it should be part of one of those 2 events. I really don't particularly care which one of the 2 events it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be outside. There's other outdoor opportunities at the packing shed, and there's other buildings there that could be used that are somewhat enclosed. Or originally, it was part of the Chocolate Affair. And I recall, I wasn't able to attend this year, but in years past, it was rather well attended by people who were attending the event. It's kind of a draw, another draw to get people to come out there to see the artist, look at the paintings. The public's not really seeing the art. That's another, at least one of the issues that I have with it is that, I think that who shows up to this are the friends and family of the artists, but not anybody who was attending the Folk and Heritage Festival, because you have to leave the event to go see this stuff in the Adult Center. So I don't particularly care what the consensus is, where to put it. I think especially now with the Chocolate Affair here, it might fit really nicely to go back with the chocolate affair. The chocolate affair has been moved indoors into the Civic Center. There's exhibit space, you know, out in the hallway. If it's nice, it could be out in the courtyard, it could be wherever. But this usually is another reason for people to come to these events. So I'm willing to go along with what everybody else wants to do, but I just think basically moving it off-site from either one of these two events is not the intended of what this, it's essentially a plein air art show, and people really aren't seeing the artist's work, just the council and then the artist friends and family. So, like I said, I'm willing to hear the discussion and go along with what the consensus is.
I'll throw my 2 cents in. I actually think that if we don't hold this at City Hall next year, I think we're really missing an opportunity to brag on all the stuff that's been going on for the last couple of years. Close proximity, it's walking distance, and one of the things promised to all of us is that the new City Hall was gonna have a lot more opportunities for the general public. And I think it'd be a good time for us to be able to showcase what's been accomplished. I'd like the council to at least entertain that thought. Again, it doesn't make much difference to me, but we got a brand-new downtown City Hall amphitheater, that whole area. Sounds like a pretty good opportunity to brag on it a little bit.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So are you suggesting it be part of another event? Because this is the whole concept, is that it's a piece of an existing event, either the Folk and Heritage Festival or the Chocolate Affair, because we'd have to open City Hall up on a Saturday to accommodate this, because the artists come in the morning and then they go paint something in Glendale and then they come back and set up their display. So we'd have to have City Hall. It's always been on a Saturday, is that correct?
Well-
As far as I remember, it's always been on a Saturday. So I'm just not sure whether you're suggesting that it's, you know,
No.
people go over there from the arts, the Chocolate Affair to go over to City Hall to see these, or?
That doesn't mean that they have to be opposite of each other. They could be part of the same. If you're doing a plein air, the rules could be downtown Glendale. And so that could be the base for the art festival. Chocolate Affair was not exactly where we held the plein air. It was always around the corner, but still in that same general downtown area. Just saying something the council needs to maybe
the
look at.
Chocolate Affair had a lot of stuff out, you
Yeah.
know, the streets were closed
And it's a chance that maybe we can drive more people to our brick and mortar businesses downtown.
I'm willing to listen to anything. I just don't think it should be in the adult center.
Thank you, Mayor. I normally don't like to get this deep in the weeds on things, but it is kind of in my wheelhouse, so I'll dive in. If we're going to keep it part of the arts and or the Folk and Heritage Festival out at Swar Ranch, it seems to me that as you enter the fruit packing shed, to the left is the large, what I would call gallery space, and that's always set up as an entertainment venue. But to the right is a sizable room, big enough room, that just for that hour or two late in the afternoon perhaps could be reserved for the judging and showing of this, and it's temperature controlled and out of the wind, and it's on site, and it could be included in the program for the day that's what's going on in that space, is the presentation and judging of the plein air contest, and that way everybody with a program would see that at some point, hopefully. And that's probably, we don't have to have this plein air event forever tagged to some other event. We can, I love that we hold it, but if we decide that something else is coming up and we want to attach it to that, we could do that. If we do it for the Chocolate Festival, it'd be nice, maybe we could just use some of this front lobby space here and, or the hallway here, and accomplish the same thing for no longer than that part of the event takes place. And that way we'd be indoors and temperature controlled and all of that. So having it here in the Civic Center might work. If in the future we have a city art gallery, then we might want to do it in conjunction with that space. That's kind of why I'm saying let's not get married to the idea of it being some specific event or space. The suggestion about having it in conjunction with the Arts and Culture Fest, personally I don't care so much for that. They're already doing a plein air aspect of that event, and I don't want to usurp that or lay over on it. That's great that we have a second event. That's also, it's city sponsored, but it's not a city special events department event, as I understand it, so that could conceivably come and go. But, so those would be my two preferences, is either in the room to the right at the fruit packing shed or in the hallway here at the chocolate affair, so long as the chocolate affair stays here. Who knows? We may decide to move it some other location and to here in the city. So just for the next year or two, or whatever the short-term planning is, that's what I would suggest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just so I'm curious, has this plain art event ever stood alone on its own, like not being attached to another event historically? Has it ever stood alone on its own?
Was that a question? I'm sorry, was that a question?
Has the plain art event ever been set aside on its own, not attached to something else, another event? Has it ever been by itself historically? I'm asking.
Not to the best of my recollection. It was part of, it was on the same weekend with the chocolate affair, but the actual display and judging of it did occur over in the promenade space on Palmer, and then it was moved out to, perhaps maybe, well, anyway, and then at some point it was moved out to Saguaro Ranch with the Folk and Heritage Festival, but I don't recall it being freestanding.
Yeah, I attended for the first time the Folk and Heritage Fest, and it was really good. But I think plein air event would go good with that over in the packing shed. Yeah. Also, the chocolate affair is really nice here too. So I mean, I would go either way, whatever the council decides.
Thank you, Mayor. I really like the idea of it being at the Folk and Heritage Fest. I think it fits very well with that, and I think doing it at the packing shed, using those ideas, I think would work. I know I've also judged it when it's been at the chocolate affair, outdoors. And so, again, I don't have a preference, but I think we'd want to take a look at which has the better draw for both the artist and for the public to attend, which one of those would be best, and go with that. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know who to aim this to. Is the Arts Council heavily involved in this?
Mayor, Council, the Glendale Arts Commission defers to City Council on this specific event so that they can interact with the public, judge, and award prizes. But I always keep the Arts Commission updated on how much money we're allocating and where the event is going to be held, and should the Arts Commission be interested in participating.
What I personally would like to do is ask them where do they think would be the best place. And again, I don't think anybody is really married to it being exactly in one spot all the time. It sounds like kind of the novelty of it is the fact that it can be moved around. Give more people access. I'd like to get an opinion from the Arts Commission to find out where they're at on it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hold on, Lauren.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to get an opinion from the artists themselves. I think that's a very good.
They just want the check.
Not necessarily. I really think that their opinion and feedback and input is vital to where we put it, in my opinion.
I feel like there was I'm fine with it being, if the idea was for it to be in a climate-controlled environment, the suggestion of using the other side of the packing shed that's not being used for the Folk and Heritage Festival seems like a good solution. If there were concerns with maybe with the artists, like I said, I checked with the council members who I was told, I was given 3 names of people who complained about it being outside, and I checked with them, and they don't recall those conversations. So I think if we want it, we need to probably figure out where it's going to be next year. I think it should be at the Folk and Heritage Festival, and maybe we rotate it, as the mayor said. Maybe the next year, if we decide, and that gives time to go through the process of I think this is, as he said, a council event. I know the Arts Commission, I think they have volunteers there, I think, helping, because somebody has to number the paintings and do there's a little bit of administrative work to be done, passing out the voting stuff, but, and if we wanted to rotate it back and forth between the Heritage Festival and the Chocolate Affair, I think that would be fine, but I think it seems like there was 3 other people who thought that it was a good, leave it at the Folk and Heritage Festival, and I'm fine with that. So that's, would be 4 of us. Councilmember Turner, Councilmember Guzman, and Vice Mayor Melnar, and myself. And I said I would go along, so I'm saying I will go along with that.
Yep, there you go. Next.
Council item of special interest, research digital signs and directories.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor.
Your
Good
microphone,
afternoon,
there
Mayor,
you go.
Council. There it is. This is a council item of special interest from Councilmember Conscious. He requested that we bring forward a request for consensus to do research on digital signage, and he gave some specific examples. These are Ike signs. Ike signs are not only advertisement, but they're also directories. They can also be used as call boxes. You may have seen them in Tempe and Phoenix. Here's examples of both of those. They can be solar. They appear to be in the right of way. So some of the questions that we would be researching in this would be understanding their business model. How is the cost sharing? Which is how we understand their business model is they share profit with the city. How the touchscreen directory and call box systems work, who controls the messaging and content of the sign. So we had Fascinations advertising over Christmas, which we've had people complain about before. Who controls that type of stuff? The procurement process, who owns the equipment, who provides the utilities for the equipment. The utilities, connections, whether or not they're gonna be solar, if they're in the right of way or private property, and the different rules that go with both of those. If they are on city property, if the land will be licensed, leased, or there'll be some easement. And also the liability and other risks associated with putting signs like this adjacent to the right-of-way. Some groups that we'll be meeting with would be zoning, legal, ADA, and transportation. We don't generally have private signs adjacent to the right-of-way. They're adjacent to businesses on private property, other than transportation or transit signs. So the request is to do 40 to 60 hours of staff time researching, meeting with Phoenix, meeting with Tempe, meeting with the Ike Signs Group, and gathering research online in internal meetings. The groups within the city that would be part of this would be procurement, legal, transportation, planning, potentially engineering. So this would take a bit of effort because this is something not generally done, but it's obviously being done in other cities, so we'd be happy to research if that's the consensus of the council.
All right, I guess I'll start this one off. I don't know if everybody was here several years ago when we were trying to put something together with shaded bus stops with signage on it to help pay for some of it. And the consensus, or not the consensus, but what you folks came back to us is, yeah, there's no way we're gonna make enough money off this to pay for itself. I'm not in love with taking up sidewalk space for private advertising. I'm just not. I think our downtown's got enough going on right now, limited space along the sidewalks, and I see that's where these probably would be more than anything. Benches have a hard time being along the buildings, and yet you have room for ADA compliance people to get around and then have to compete with this on top of that. I'm not in favor of this moving forward at all, especially spending 60 hours of labor to come back and tell us what you guys told us on a similar subject 8 years ago. That's just my opinion. Well, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'm willing to spend 40 to 60 hours worth of staff time to find out more about this. The I think the technology has changed. I think that certainly our council has changed, and new members might have a interest in getting up to speed and then making a decision on it. This is not really a decision point on whether we go through with doing the signs. It's just, do we want to learn more about it? And does it seem like a reasonable amount of effort to put into it? I would imagine that if it doesn't take all 40 or 60 hours, the employees will find some other way to stay busy on some project worthwhile to the citizens. So I'm almost always willing to learn more about something that could be of value to our community, so I'm willing to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. When we were at our conference last November in Salt Lake, there, Councilmember Conchas brought this to my attention. He saw them there, the vendor there. I went and looked at it, and I had some real blunt questions, just gathering information, and the answers I received were like very, very positive in my opinion. What they can do with these signs, what the investment is by the city, what the return is for everyone that uses it. The businesses, the visitors, the people that live here to find something. I mean, if we have people consistently saying that they don't even know we have a parking structure and it's been there for so many years, they're going to walk by a bunch of other businesses and that they don't realize is there as well. I like, because I asked tough questions. What about like it gets damaged, or however, like all these questions, and every answer I gave that was given to me was very positive in my opinion for the city's investment. Like the city is not handling repairs, the company is. And I asked, that's a question, how does that happen? It's all based on all the other businesses that invest, I guess, for advertising, I'm assuming. I think it's a really good idea. I really liked it. It was very user-friendly. It was also to be available. It could be used for different languages, for Spanish and English. It was just in the onset, and I understand how vendors just put the pretty thing out there, and it's an eye catcher. But when I was asking questions that had nothing to do with what it looked like, but how it worked and what it was going to cost the city and other things like that, it really caught my attention. I really liked it. I understand there's, as Randy just pointed out, there's a lot of zoning, legal, ADA, transportation, liability, other risks, licensing, leasing, easements. I get all that. That's the information we need, obviously. But when I went and, like I said, when I went and saw that, I was really, really impressed with it. And I was really, there wasn't, at least in the initial conversation, and I know they're salesmen, I was asking the blunt questions that no one wants to ask, and the answers I was given was positive, in my opinion, for the city and for everyone who's going to benefit. Not just the businesses, but the people coming down here to use it. For me, it was like a really, really good, it was all beneficial. So I would like to see that we invest some time into looking into this. Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I guess are these wayfinding signs? Because in the presentation, they're advertisements. So do they serve a dual purpose, or?
Mayor, Councilmember, the way it was explained to me by Councilmember Conscious, just to be clear, he asked us not to do research until we got consensus, but that if you touch them, they're touch screen. So then it could be a directory, it could be a map, it could be whatever is programmed to be there. Otherwise, it would be digital advertising.
Oh, so when it's essentially static or not being used, then it rotates advertisements, like a digital billboard, sort of?
Yes, that's how he explained it.
Okay. And then I noticed that in the picture, it looks like one is solar and one is not. Is that what it looks like I have to put my glasses on to see the number. On slide 3, I see it looks like a solar panel on top of it. And then the other one is not a solar, I don't see a solar panel anyway on top of the other one. So, and there's no cost to the city, or we don't even know that?
We haven't done any research on it at all.
So nobody's even just made a phone call to Phoenix or Tempe, just a preliminary, like, hey, does this cost you guys any money, or?
I just in conversation with someone at Tempe, they mentioned that there's actually a lot more to it than a simple answer. That's what that list describes is there's a lot of details that had to be worked through before it made sense for either of those cities.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know whether I would even like the way these would even look in downtown, honestly, because of the quaint nature of our downtown. I don't know. I think that there's probably better things for staff to spend their time on. We can put wayfinding signs downtown that are, you know, that fit the aesthetics of our downtown. I don't think this would fit. I mean, I know you could use them in other places, but Westgate has lots of signs. I mean, I don't think you really need them. I think mostly people are talking about using them in our downtown. And I don't know. I don't feel like they really fit with our downtown. That's my opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have kind of a mixed reaction to this. I can see in some areas of our city it might be beneficial, but I see it also as somewhat of a advertising distraction that I wouldn't want to see, especially in our downtown. And I don't know that, I mean, it may provide some benefit for wayfinding and that kind of thing, but I'm not sure that having that kind of advertising in downtown is conducive to our downtown. It might be conducive in other areas of the city. I'm not sure at this point in time. I mean, since you don't have any information on the cost, I mean, that would really be, if it's a no cost for the city and we control where they go and that kind of thing, I would perhaps be interested in looking into it. But that's the only answer I'd need to know to know whether I'd want to move it forward. I don't need a lot of hours spent on determining that. And so that's the extent that I'd be willing to move it forward. Thank you.
I just thought of something. Are these considered a digital billboard? Because I know we have zoning restrictions on digital billboards, so those are only allowed in certain places in the city. And I don't know, I mean, they're not necessarily a digital billboard, but if we opened the Pandora's box to allowing these in our right-of-way, do we have to start allowing them everywhere else as well? And so that would be something I would be pretty concerned about doing, because we have pretty strict zoning rules about signage. We have very strict areas where we'll allow digital billboards. And I mean, this is just a small digital billboard. It's got a secondary use, but it's a small digital billboard. So I don't know, do you have any opinion on whether or not this would be in conflict maybe with the zoning regulations we have for digital billboards?
Mayor, Councilmember, within the zoning ordinance, there's 3 locations where digital signage shows up, and billboards is one of them. But the definition of billboards wouldn't exactly align with this. The other ones would be a monument sign for a business on private property or a wall sign for a business on private property. This doesn't fit any of those, so this would be something we'd have to come up with
Would this
a
be
solution.
something, if I could, Mayor, would this be something we would allow a business to put out in front of their business, advertising their business with rotating? Because I know we've had other, I know we allow the digital signage at schools, or because they don't have to follow our zoning. We allow them at churches because they don't have to follow our zoning, but we don't allow them anywhere else. So that would be a question that I would have, because I don't think we allow this kind of signage other places.
Mayor, council member, generally this, definitely not in the right of way, but on private property, I'm not sure that the size or shape or, because the digital signage is allowed, but it's not necessarily advertisement adjacent to right of ways
Like
like this.
reader boards and
Yeah.
things like that. I know we don't allow those everywhere, so.
But I think to your point, this is on public right away.
I understand that, but if we start doing it, are we going to have
No,
to?
no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So, but I think we're putting ourselves in jeopardy there. But anyway,
Mayor?
no, not you. Oh, right, sorry.
Well, it just occurs to me that we have a lot of questions here, and if we don't give staff the authorization to go out and get information, we're not necessarily going to have accurate answers. I, for instance, don't know if IKE is an individual company. Are they the only company that does this? Is it a competitive environment? And that might be something we'd like to know. I don't know even if IKE is the only one that does this, I don't know if that's the only design that they have available, or could they design something that would fit into a historical environment? I don't know I just learned now that they're touchscreen operated, and you could apparently bring up the user, could bring up different things like, where am I? Or if I'm looking for a restaurant, you touch it and it shows you where all the restaurants are within walking distance, or where all the gift shops are, or where all the whatevers are. I don't know enough to say yes, but I certainly don't know enough to say no either. And I just think that let's get some information and make an informed decision.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes. I was just going to say that, Councilmember. A lot of good questions, not enough answers. I think that we should let staff look into it. I mean, it may turn out that it's not going to work for us, but we're not going to know unless they go and get the information and bring it back to us. So I support going ahead and having you guys get more information to us. I would like to have more myself.
Yeah, Randy, to your knowledge, has anybody approached the city that owns one of these companies or works for one of these companies to install these?
Mayor, not that I know of.
So this is a council member bringing an idea that there's a potential for the city. Nobody's actually come here and said, we want to put it here.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, again, we don't have the amount of traffic downtown that some of the other, like Tempe. So we may do the research and find out they don't want to be here anyway. I mean, who knows? Is there a way, instead of going to 60 hours, I don't know what you're figuring per hour. Are you talking about $200 an hour? What are you figuring?
Sorry, Mayor, I didn't have a dollar amount associated with that.
Well, you said 40 to 60 hours, so I don't know what that's equivalent to, but if you could just preliminary make some phone calls, just to find out, is there anybody even wants to come here? And then maybe check with some of the cities on phone calls and find out how is it working for them. We recently talked about the skateboards and scooters and things like that. Again, if you're putting these on the sidewalks and right away, we have other issues that we have to be contending with, or we're going to force kids out into the street. I don't know if that's good. ADA stuff is concerning to me. I have a lot of concerns, but if nobody actively wants to come here, then maybe we're all worried about something we don't need to worry about. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I respect some people's comments and concerns about these kiosks, or whatever, what anybody wants to call them, doesn't fit in downtown Glendale. I'd also like to make a counterpoint to that if you were to walk downtown and look at all the businesses, or a majority of the businesses, there are QR codes literally almost everywhere for events, times, their business hours, their this, that, and the other. And that takes technology. A lot of the businesses are embracing that technology. I believe that that we can still have a downtown the way it is right now, historic, beautiful, old buildings and everything like that, and still have a touch of technology that doesn't scare anybody away.
Minor.
My opinion, it's not going to take away from the atmosphere or the of what downtown Glendale is. I think it'll enhance it. It'll make it easier for everyone to navigate, and for everyone that comes and visits. There are people that aren't not from Glendale, or they're visiting from out of town, and they come down here and they don't know where they're going, and they get a piece of paper that may be several years old, and those businesses aren't there anymore, and they're told to come here, and they come down. Just to that point of that when people say, or anybody says, this isn't going to fit in downtown, I believe, again, just my opinion, I believe it could, I believe it would, I believe it'd be beneficial. I would really like to see more information, obviously, because it depends on all, like I said, everything you listed, Randy. It's important to know all that. I would like to see us put some effort into making sure that the businesses and the merchants and everyone downtown realizes that, we're doing what we can to help them. And if this is something that they would like, and that they know that it could help, then I really believe we should, strategically spend the time to find out more information. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor. I would consider moving forward to find out a little bit more information, but not perhaps as much information as that you would like to do a full-blown presentation. I can't support it right now until I know more information. So, some of the basics would be, are there, as the mayor has suggested, are there people that are interested in coming to Glendale, and what is their cost proposal? In other words, do they share costs? Do we have to dedicate some money to it or not? Some of those basic questions. And then what the options would be, for example, for display. Do they typically just have advertisements, or can we go more with directional type of things? And I think you could probably do that in a lot less hours rather than do a full-blown investigation. And I'd be willing to support it if it were, like 20 hours or so of staff time to pull that together.
I would support 20 hours.
Yeah, Mayor, I would support 20 hours. 60 seems too steep for me.
Mayor, same with me, and maybe just rather than coming back with a presentation, just a scoping memo. Some council items of special interest come back with a scoping memo, basically, so we have a better idea of what's involved before we proceed. So maybe that would be something you could do with 20 hours rather than have to get it back in here as a full-blown presentation.
And then finally, Randy, I'd like to know, is the juice worth the squeeze? If they're gonna put it out there, is the city gonna get money back on it for the amount of room that we have to get up the right of way, and how much staff time and paperwork that's gonna be involved in all that? So I know that's a lot, but do as much as you can, as little time as possible.
Okay, just to confirm, Mayor, consensus is to spend 20 hours and then return, rather than a presentation, a scoping memo.
Well, whatever you can to make it where we understand it. How's that?
Oh, okay.
That good with everybody? All right. Okay. Thank you. City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. 3 items for you tonight. I want to start with a big thank you to our fire and police departments, emergency management team, and transportation team for their outstanding work at the Luke Days event this past weekend. Despite record heat and crowds exceeding 100,000 people, they managed the event expertly and provided swift medical aid to those in need. Over the 2 days, they had 200 medical incidents and 42 hospital transports. City commits significant staff support to ensure a safe and positive experience for everyone. Next, the Glendale Libraries launched the Read 250 Challenge in celebration of America's 250th birthday. Library patrons are encouraged to read 250 minutes between March and April for a chance to win one of 12 grand prizes. And I'm pleased to announce that the city has selected Dan Henderson to serve as our new Director of Economic Development. Dan brings an extensive history of business development, retention, and tourism experience, all within the Valley and most recently with the town of Gilbert. Dan's background aligns well with where Glendale is headed, and we look forward to him joining the Glendale team in May. That's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Michael? City attorney? Nothing? Okay. Clerk, any city clerk report?
No, sir.
Council item of special interest. Mr. Baldenegro, have you any?
None today, sir.
Mr. Conch not here. Councilmember Guzman?
Not today, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Tomachoff?
Yes, Mayor, I have one follow-up and one new item. I know we have had some discussions about, and we're working with the bond committee on potential bond election in, I believe, in 2028. And based on the CIP presentation, we saw that we don't have enough funding for all of the public safety projects that are in the CIP, even within the years 1 through 5. So I'd like to have a discussion about whether we need to loop public safety in to the discussions we're having now and run the public safety bonds when we run the bonds in 2028. But I think we need to at least be considering that as a potential 3-item bond election for 2028. That's my item of special interest. And then my follow-up is on January 13th, I asked for staff to come back with a concept for a council ad hoc committee on Glendale Glitters. And I've heard nothing on that since January 13th. But there were several council members that gave their support for that day, that asked to volunteer to be on the committee. And I have not received a memo or anything with regards to that, and that was on January 13th. So I'd like to know whether anything's happening with that or if anything's going to happen with that. Thank you, Mayor.
Member Turner?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one today. In light of the recent news of allegations regarding Cesar Chavez and what other communities are doing in response to that, I think it would be appropriate for us to have staff bring forward, in essence, an inventory of any city streets or properties or books or in our library or things like that that would perhaps fall into this, could be brought into question about the support of, the continued support of Cesar Chavez, and bring that forward to us so then the council can decide what we'd like to do in response to any changes we might want to make in those regards. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one item. Over the past year, my council assistant and I have been working on a proposal from the Peoria Unified School District to do what they call a Glendale Youth Government Services Day. They do this in the city of Peoria over the last 20 years, and it's been very successful. So we have been planning with the PUSD to see if that's feasible in Glendale. They have an actual department in Peoria, whereas we do not, and so I took it up on myself to look at doing that for the PUSD, and then perhaps scheduling it for other school districts within the city as we do a kind of a planned event. So my council item of special interest is to have staff look into the number of hours it would take for staff to help us put this event on. We've determined it's about a $5,000 in expense to cover the expense, which we can do with district funds, I believe. Maybe move that to a general budget item at some point in time, and then bring that back and let us know what kind of time frame is required and staff hours are required to put this event on for the city of Glendale in a limited scope. Again, only including elementary school districts the first time round as a trial that are in the Peoria Unified School District, and then perhaps expand that to other school districts as we see it might work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, can I get a motion to go into exec? A motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote aye. Any opposed, vote nay. Appears you guys have it. Do you have it? Exec session it is. Thank you.